Dr. Herring.
Thank you, Chairman Miller and Ranking Member Klein and the members of the committee and guests. Mr. Chairman, today you should have received a letter from Commissioner Roger Goodell of the National Football League supporting your legislation, and I know that his letter says that the NFL is grateful for the opportunity to work closely with you in developing this important legislation which will further our shared goals of increasing concussion awareness and preventing these injuries among our youngest athletes, not only in football but in all sports. And as a member of the newly formed NFL Head, Neck, and Spine Committee, I join the Commissioner in thanking you for this work as someone who has spent his life managing athletes with sports concussions. This Protecting Student Athletes from Concussion Act is really a significant step forward. It's a great campaign to protect young athletes, and as a physician, educator, advocate, and representing the NFL today, I am proud to testify after many years of work in this area. I would take a little different bent today and make my testimony a bit more personal. I'm sure the committee has heard of the name Zachary Lystet by now. In October 2006, Zach was a 13-year-old middle school all-star football player who suffered a blow to his head with a few minutes left in the first half. There was an injury timeout. After halftime, Zach returned to play. He was still having symptoms from his concussion. He sustained further head blows in the second half of the game. At the end, the game collapsed in his father's arms, lapsed into a coma, and suffered life-threatening injuries. Zach survived, but he is now faced with a lifelong road of rehabilitation. The tragedy here, Mr. Chairman, is that was a preventable injury. A coalition of brain injury advocates and doctors and athletic trainers, school administrators, risk managers, and local elected officials in the state of Washington began to work on a law to prevent the next child and the next family from suffering the way Zachary and his family did, the Zachary Lystet Law. It was during this process that I personally met Zach. I take care of the Seahawks. I'm on the sideline at a practice, and here's a young boy in a wheelchair with his parents. And Zach looks at me straight in the eye, and he very slowly and deliberately says, because he's just learning to read talk, is the reason I'm here, he said, is to help people. And I have to tell you, as a doctor who takes care of people with disability, that was a pretty powerful message from a young man who couldn't speak for 9 months, almost lost his life, and has had to work incredibly hard just to get some sense of normalcy. It's a pretty incredible statement. And Zach had choices during his recovery. He could be angry, or he could be content, or he could be depressed, or he could come to accept it, or he could be bitter, or try to find peace. And each choice made that young man who he is today, this incredibly witty and driven and fabulous 17-year-old young man who still struggles with significant problems, and his family struggles along with him. But they really are changing the face of youth sports across this country. The coalition in the state of Washington passed the Lystet Law, and it had 3 essential components, very similar to what's in your bill, and we praise you for that. 7 more states have passed Lystet Law since that time, and it's pretty easy. Educate parents and athletes, coaches and administrators. If there's a suspected concussion, take the youth athlete out at that time. And the third piece, don't put them back in until they've been cleared by a licensed health care provider who understands concussions. Mr. Chairman, if your bill was to become law, it would protect athletes in every state that don't yet have a Zachary Lystet Law. Now, Commissioner Goodell has already given you the NFL's pledge to work diligently in support of your legislation, and at the same time, Mr. Chairman, we are engaged in a state-by-state effort to pass Zach Law. We would hope to see legislation in California. And just this week, I'm very pleased to announce that a bill was introduced here in Washington, D.C., a Zachary Lystet Law. Also, as part of our state-by-state effort, the NFL will convene an educational and advocacy summit next month in my hometown of Seattle, a how-to course for the Zachary Lystet Law, and that will be available online for anyone who wants to learn the process, at least on a state-by-state basis, of making the law available. Passing the state laws, however, takes time, but public awareness need not wait. That is why the NFL has taken the lead in promoting concussion education at all levels of sport and in every sport. And before the start of this NFL season, a new concussion awareness poster was developed by a group of medical experts, and interested parties working in a great coalition. One of those experts would be Sean Mulray, who personally, he and I worked on this poster. I even have it. This is in every locker room in the NFL. It's in a brochure form for every player, and you'll notice Commissioner of the NFL Players Association, the CDC, the Professional Football Athletic Trainers, and the Professional NFL Physician Society all worked together, as they should, to help make sports safer. It was a pleasure and an honor for me to sit next to Sean as we worked on that together. This same group has developed a poster specifically for youth, which I know is part of your bill. And this poster for youth involves all sports. It'll be informational. It will be released shortly, made available at no cost. The NFL has been interested also in other aspects of trying to make concussion safety their business. Other projects with the CDC, USA Football, the American College of Sports Medicine, the National Athletic Trainers Association have been put together to disseminate educational materials for young athletes and their coaches through a variety of different media and educational tools. USA Football, which is the independent, not-for-profit organization that serves as kind of the official youth voice for the NFL, recently has educated 30,000 coaches since April 10th with the concussion education module, as an example. Look for a Put Pride Aside campaign this fall to do just what Sean said, to take this concussion issue and have people report honestly and directly. The NFL continues also to support the science of research for the tragedies like CTE, which are critical for us to understand so that we can try to make sports as safe as possible for as many as possible. In closing, Mr. Chairman, as more has become known about the dangers of head injury, the NFL has become a leader in concussion, not just for the safety of its own players, but for all athletes at all levels of football and in all other sports. And I see them every day. I see young athletes, soccer, basketball, lacrosse, who have been concussed. And those children, those young athletes, can recover and play again, but they must receive proper treatment. I'm proud of what the NFL has done in the professional game, but I'm particularly pleased to share with you the NFL's initiative to educate and inform all sports at all levels about concussions. I think the NFL understands its obligation to continue to lead in this area and to provide a model for all sports. I know that the NFL looks forward to continue to work with this committee and for all other advocates for the benefits of youth athletes everywhere. Thank you.